You're listening to The Sports Moment, February 23rd, 2024. Part of the Sports Moments and Memories with Craig Olson podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a sports moment. Sponsored by Pemberton Law and Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
Lake Area Docks and Lifts, more than just docks and lifts. Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
It is Friday, and it's the last Friday of February. So we'll be turning the calendar to March next Friday, and this is tournament time. So lots of exciting stuff coming up. The girls' basketball section tournaments begin on Monday. The hockey tournament is underway. The girls' hockey tournament, state tournament, concludes tomorrow. The boys are in the section semifinals. There's a lot going on. Swimming, the sectionals are this weekend. Gymnastics state is this weekend. Wrestling, the sectionals are going on. Individual tournaments this weekend. So lots of tournament stuff, and that's where we're going to start with the Otter girls hockey team losing in double overtime yesterday in the Consolation semifinals at the Tria Rink, the practice facility for the Minnesota Wild. They got beat in double overtime by Wilmer. Final score was 2-1, and the Cardinals were able to hold on despite the fact that the Otters outshot them 10-1 in the third period and dominated the third period in the overtimes, had so many quality scoring chances, just could not get the puck past the goalie. So the Otters come up short. They lost 3 one-goal games to Wilmer this year. Yesterday's in double overtime at the state tournament. So great year for the Otters. 15-13-1 was their final record, but back-to-back state appearances for Tim Lill and his girls. So congratulations to them on that accomplishment. Now the Otter boys hockey team will play tomorrow night at the MAC. They'll play at 7 o'clock, and their opponent will be the number 2 seed Northern Lakes. The Otters are the number 3 seed in Section 6A, and a win will put them in the section finals next Thursday. So good luck to Mike Donahue and his Otter boys hockey team tomorrow night. Some basketball from last night. On the boys' side, Alexandria, they've gotten healthy, and boy, they look good. They beat Fergus Falls 85-50. Ashby won 68-55 over Ortonville. Belgrade Brute and El Rosa defeated Brandon Evansville 69-53. It was Parker's Prairie 61, Long Prairie Gray Eagle 50, Holly over Breckenridge 79-57. Perham topped Norman County East Ewan hit it all 79-48. Battle Lake 80. New York Mills 46, and Frazee beat Monaga 73-54. On the girls' side, Hillcrest 77, Breckenridge 55. Henning defeated Parker's Prairie 50-39. Ortonville 56, Ashby 53. Park Christian over Rothsay 61-49. Underwood defeated Norman County East Ewan hit it all 65-27. It was Hancock 57, West Central Area 55. Brandon Evansville over Benson, 77-43, and Holly won 40-34 over Barnesville in girls basketball last night. One other note on the basketball front, the Lady Spartans were supposed to host Minnesota North College from Itasca tomorrow afternoon. That game has been canceled, so the next Spartan basketball contest will come up at the Region 13 tournament, and that will be next Saturday at Anoka Ramsey Community College in Coon Rapids. You know, Pemberton Law is one of our sponsors of our podcast. We appreciate that, and they have 4 locations around the area from which they serve you, including Fergus Falls, Wadena, Detroit Lakes, and Alexandria. And, of course, they serve you online, too. You can visit them at pemlaw.com. Pemberton Law carries a legacy of trustworthy and reputable legal representation dating back to 1883. Also, Lake Area Docks and Lifts presents our podcast every day, and they also have 5 convenient locations that they are serving you from around the Lakes area. And we appreciate Donovan and Renee Rasmussen and the support they give all the youth in their activities around Lakes region. That's Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
Lake Area Docks and Lifts, more than just docks and lifts. Lake Area
Well, tomorrow's the big day in Pelican Rapids. We've been highlighting the state tournament teams and some of the members of those teams that Rex Haugen coached in his 31 years as the mentor of the Viking boys basketball program. And Rex will be honored tomorrow in a great way as they will be dedicating Rex Haugen Court in the Al Siegle Activity Center at the Pelican Rapids Public School. And that will be about 3:15 tomorrow afternoon when they have the dedication ceremony. The JV game between Pelican Rapids and Ada Borup West starts at 2 o'clock, and then they'll have the dedication of the court between the two games and then the varsity game, followed by a reception in the Legends Gym after the varsity game. So we've had just a great time talking to team members and Coach Haugen over the past week, and we've highlighted the 1977 state runner-up team and the 1984 state championship team. And the other team that Rex took to state was the 1993 Iron 5 version of the Pelican Rapids Vikings. And we caught up with a couple of those members of that team, Brian Korf and Brian Hovland, who are now two high school girls basketball coaches in our area. Korf at his high school, Pelican Rapids, and Brian Hovland over in Underwood. And they both had great success as coaches also and have taken teams to the state tournament. A little more on that a little later on as we continue to look at the Vikings and their history from 1993. And I asked Brian Korf, who was the point guard on that team, about the court dedication tomorrow and how he feels about his coach being honored in that way.
Yeah, I think it's a great honor for Coach Haugen and all the work that he has done here at Pelican Rapids School and in the area. He made a large impact in his coaching career and many student athletes. He coached football, he coached basketball. And I think when you think of Coach Haugen, you think of basketball here at Pelican Rapids. He did a lot. He made a lot of impact in the region too. I believe he was one of the people that got WDAY involved in the district tournament. And, he did some broadcasting there with Ed Schultz and Dana Mock. So, and I just know with his summer job that he connected with a lot of people in the area. And I think a lot of people got connected with him and supported him when it came to March and supporting Pelican Rapids Boys Basketball.
And as the point guard, there was a lot of communication during the season between Korf and Coach Haugen, and I asked him to describe that player-coach relationship that he had with Rex.
I think our relationship, I had a lot of passion for sports when I was a kid. It was something that, that I like to do to enjoy in the time away from school and from home and that. So, I went to a lot of his camps, a lot of things that he offered when I was a young kid. And then, of course, I went to a lot of activities here, a lot of sporting events here at Pelican Rapids. But boys basketball is one thing that I just kind of grew up to enjoy and have a lot of passion for and dream about playing, on the boys basketball team as a young kid. There's a lot of players that I looked up to, of all the Westbys, Alan Martinson and those people. So it was fun growing up here and kind of trying to grow up to be like these people that you looked up to. Coach Haugen and I actually had a little interaction. I think it was junior high football. He was ref in the football game, and I was a defensive end. And I let Coach Haugen know at that time when he was reffing that I was getting held, and because they were going outside of me, and I was trying to tell the referee who was Coach Haugen. And after the game, he came up, and I think I do remember exactly what he said, but he came up to me after the game and said, "Young man, you're going to learn one thing, that you aren't going to win with the coach, and you're not going to win with the referee." So, and then he kept on walking. So kind of had that little interaction when I was in junior high football. But, growing up, that I wanted to be part of the boys basketball team and at the varsity level. And I had a position that I was fortunate to fill as the point guard. And I was very fortunate to have guys around me that were really good basketball players.
Yeah, talk about that lineup as a point guard. It's kind of the dream team there. You had some guys who could really produce for you.
Yeah, I think I grew up kind of being the short guy, so I think everyone said it was all the tall guys and then the short point guard. So my goal was always to be talked about at least 6 foot. So I think Coach Haugen my senior year put 6 feet in the program for me, which give or take, is right around there. So, you know what, Kent Bauman, you know, he's 6'7", Travis Hagen 6'6", Kevin Backstrom, you know, he's 6'4", 6'5", and Brian Hovland 6'3". So, I think they called us the Iron Five there at tournament time because it was 5 of us that played the majority of the game. But that was back then too, when you had the timeouts, you had quarters, so that was nice for us to have. So it was an extra timeout, which was good. But you know, I had one job, and the one job I had was get the ball down the court and get it to those guys' hands, and you know, and to penetrate and make people come, so I can dump it to the post or kick it out to the wing. So it was just a nice fit for myself, but it was fun too. You know, my junior year, you know, we lose the region. I believe it was the region championship. You know, to go to state to Minnewaska, and playing with people like Ryan Elton and Reed Rice some too. You know, as juniors. So it was always nice to play around good basketball players.
5 seniors who rarely came off the court, if ever. And I talked to Brian Hovland about the Pelican Rapids Iron Five.
I told someone this the other day because they were asking about it and stuff. And, you know, when we played those last 5 games at Concordia, all 5 seniors played on a college court, never came off the floor, never subbed once. And you try to get that out of kids nowadays. I don't know if you could. You can't even hardly get it out of on a high school floor, but let alone a college floor. He had us believing. He had us where he wanted us, and got us there, you know, throughout the year. And it wasn't always good. I mean, if you look at that schedule, we played a lot of games at Concordia, but we lost a few up there too, you know. So it was. There was some valleys and highs and lows, and he did a great job getting us there.
Talk about the atmosphere at Concordia. I mean, does anything match that atmosphere during a tournament game, and even state tournament? I don't know if it can compare to what you feel at Concordia.
No, when we were there, you know, our first game, you know, we had those games there. They were packed on TV, a lot of stuff, you know, interviews before, after, you know, that kind of stuff. It felt like it was the big time. And then, you know, our first game was not the mat, and it was quiet. I mean, it's not the same, you know, and same can be said for some of the things that have happened around here. You know, when we played that game last year for Underwood at Fergus, that atmosphere was better than anything that we've had. So, you know, the way it was back then, Concordia was packed. You know, you had a 2-class system. Things are filled in there. You know, it was really good basketball.
One of the great things about the tournament run in '93 was the involvement of WDAY TV and the media hype that surrounded that event at one of the great locations to hold a tournament, Concordia College. Rex, what about the atmosphere at Concordia? Is there a better place to play a playoff tournament game than Concordia?
That is an electrifying place to have that type of a tournament. It really is. You know, some people were a little concerned after that thing went on TV that it would hurt the crowd. You know, it would cut the attendance. If anything, it increased the attendance at the tournament. And I know for a fact that tournament was well watched across the area, and including North Dakota, because I recall a couple of times my summer job as a crop adjuster, I got all over the place, and I was north of Jamestown one time during the summer, and I had to visit with a farmer in a small town north of Jamestown, North Dakota. And when I pulled in the yard and got out of my pickup, he said, I know you. I said, really? He said, yeah. You're the coach at Pelican, and we watch your games all the time. He said, that tournament's the greatest tournament we ever saw. So there you are. And that's about 100 and some miles or so out in the middle of North Dakota. So it was a great place, that's for sure.
Well, Coach Haugen, there were some really tough teams in District 23 and Region 6 through the years. And it was really hard to get through the district, to get to the region, and then to get to state. You had to beat a lot of really good teams. You had a very competitive win over a good Hewlin Hitterdal team. Tell us about that victory that got you into the region tournament.
Yeah. I truthfully, you know, that was as good as they had been in a long time. And this was a smaller school, and here was the one chance, to win this tournament. And I knew how much it meant to me and our team when we were even in that type of a situation. And I knew Gordy real well, Gordy Nichols, their coach. And to have us down 2 with 7 seconds to go in the game, and we end up hitting a 3 to win the whole thing. I felt for Gordy, really I did. And of course you were happy for your own situation, but I really felt for Gordy that it just didn't work out for him. So, yeah, some real tough memories and good ones from that place, from Concordia.
And after getting to the region tournament, that set the stage for a revenge game against Minnewaska area, who had beaten the Vikings the year before. And Brian Hovland recalled that game.
No, it was one that at that point during the year we'd been waiting for all year. They were ranked number 1 in the state at that point, undefeated. I don't know if it was at their second year, because the first year, existence was Starbuck, and but then when they combined to Minnewaska, so it was something that we wanted. There was no doubt about it. All year we had been talking about it. You always want that revenge game, and we were able to pull it out. So.
And that led you into a game against Staples, and you had your share of good games against Staples in tournaments as Pelican over the years, but how hard was it to get the energy back after you expended so much against Minnewaska? It seemed like you still had some energy.
Very much, yeah. I mean, it was still the goal was state, so that was the next game. It was, now in now's terms, Minnewaska was the subsection final and then the section final. In our class anyway, so it's just something that had been looking forward to, and for 5 guys to do that a couple nights in a row there was pretty big.
You would talk about the Iron Five. What made you guys so good on the floor, Brian? Because you had size, you had really good size, and a pretty good point guard.
Very much, and you got 6'8", 6'6", 6'3", 6'4", and then Korf at 6'1", 6'2". Very good point guard. Controlled us, got us where we needed to be. Did an excellent job in the playoffs and all around, but hitting some free throws when we needed it. And it was just a group that had been playing together for, it seemed like ever. And so it was something that kind of had been put together probably years before that we didn't see until that point.
How well conditioned were you? I mean, you had to be to just be out on the floor all the time. Was that a real emphasis from day one of practice, the conditioning?
I started thinking about that because, I don't know if we ran a lot. We just did a lot of full court drills. A lot of stuff where we were doing drills. There was some running, but it was stuff where we worked hard at practice so that we were ready for game time situations.
Let's get the point guard's opinion about that victory over Minnewaska area too. Here's Brian Korf.
I think it really kind of started our junior year. We lost him in overtime, and during overtime, if I remember correctly, we're stalling and going for one shot, I believe, or wasting some time. Coach Haugen had us into something, to get a last shot. So I actually got my pocket picks. He reached around me, and I tell you what, you don't, as a player, when you're very competitive, you want to have another opportunity to play that team. And I just remember going in our senior season, I think many of us seniors really wanted to get back to that and have that opportunity to play Minnewaska and to play them our senior year in the regions and the first round, and they're undefeated, and that gym is just full of Concordia. Atmosphere was just great back then, and you have people underneath the baskets and in folding chairs there, and they're all the way packed to the top, and then you have WDAY that's just adding to the whole atmosphere, and it was really a lot of fun. But I give a lot of credit to not only our teammates, but Coach Haugen preparing us for that moment, and he had a large impact on helping us get that victory. Minnewaska was undefeated, and I believe ranked number 1 in state. So a lot of great memories, a lot of fun times, and a lot of big moments in that game. So.
And after they win over Minnewaska and the win over Staples in the region championship, it was on to the state tournament and a couple of more really tough teams, Crosby Ironton and De La Salle, and a pair of really close games. But Rex Haugen, a pair of pretty tough losses.
It just was one of those things, a couple of things that we had been doing quite well. Just didn't work out, in basketball. If you're off a quarter of an inch on your shot, it may not, it doesn't go very well. We had the last shot in both games, and we had both shots hit the rim or were rim shots, and they just didn't go down. The De La Salle game in the Consolation Championship, I think we were down. We were down 15, I think, at one time, late in the third quarter, and I went to a defense, offense. I took a bunch of guys off the bench, and their instructions were to go in and play defense and foul, and then they'd foul and then put them on the line so we get the ball back. Well, De La Salle started missing. And once they started missing, they kept missing, and we kept scoring. And when we got down to the last 10 seconds, we were only down by, I think, one, and had the ball and had the shot. And it rimmed. And so that's the way it ended.
One of the trademarks of the 93 team was the number of close games they were involved in and how they wound up getting a lot of close victories. And I did ask Brian Korf if he felt that the confidence level of his team was really at a high level in those close games.
I think that's, kind of our motto, was that just keep the game close, give yourself a chance at the end. Free throws were huge. Coach Haugen really emphasized free throws. I know we'd shoot a lot of free throws in practice. He was a very situational coach. It was about situations, what you do in this time and what are you doing this time, if you're up 5, down 5, things like that. So he was really, really good at preparing you for those moments, those tight games. And, the big thing is that, I think Coach Haugen also knew it's a kid's game, and let the kids play and just try to set them up to be successful. And then the kids will play the game and go from there. So, he also gave us a lot of confidence. I felt, he's very disciplined when he coached. He had to do things, kind of his way and what you're going to run, but he also lets you play the game too. And when it came to tournament time, you could see he was cranked up all the time, and he was cranked. You could see the intensity, before the game, half times, things like that. So he got you ready to play when it came to March.
Well, as I mentioned at the beginning of this section of our podcast, both Brian Korf and Brian Hovland have been successful high school girls basketball coaches in the area. And I talked to Brian Hovland about coaching teams at a high level, getting them to the state tournament, and how satisfying it is to know that his team members are experiencing what he experienced in high school as they compete at the highest level possible.
It's a lot of fun, and I had Callan Grove wrote an essay about last year about small town basketball and going to state and how much support you get, and it was spot on. It was really fun to read. Those kids get to see that now. The amount of people that watch them, that cover them, that you get to see. People recognize you outside of the game now because they've been watching, and all that comes, it helps them out later on in life. So it's really good stuff.
One thing that has been kind of consistent through all of the teams that we have highlighted this week is how much they appreciated the community support. And Hovland says the 93 team is no different.
Between the TV stuff and everything that was happening then, you drive downtown, there were signs up, you're driving out of town, your signs up. It was just a lot of people that were really excited about it. They had gone through it, some of them, in 77, 84, then that, so, there was a lot of excitement about it and great support from Pelican at that time.
I always think when you're a young kid coming up through a program, when there's success, it kind of just makes you really want to be a part of it. How much did the '84 team affect you? Because you would have been, elementary.
I can remember sitting in that watching Pat hit those shots. I mean, I can remember sitting down at state watching that happen. It was huge. I remember when I was in elementary getting a jersey number that was the same as one of the high school players, and all that stuff, and watching them walk through the hall. It was what you wanted to be, and then to get to that point again is a lot of fun.
Well, Hovland and Brian Korf and all the members of that 93 team were very competitive, and that's why they had a lot of success. So to go to state and drop 2 games that were winnable, were very close games, had to sting a little bit, and Brian Korf summed up that state tournament experience this way.
I think it really comes down to is when I look back at our state tournament run, it was a great run and how close we were. But also as a point guard, you really kind of kick yourself a little bit of what you could have done, should have done, things like that, and what I could have done better, even to this age. Like, I just look back at it sometimes when you think about the state tournament and yeah, you know what, you're happy that you made it and everything, but you always want one more. You always want to win when you get down there. And I thought, we didn't play as well as we did at Concordia when we got down and we played Crosby Ironton. I thought we played pretty well against De La Salle because we were down, I think, close to 20. We came back, made a nice run, and we had a chance at the end. So we competed well. It just, you look back once in a while, like, if we would have done this a little bit different, or I would have done this, not turned it over, made this shot, or things like that. But it's an experience. It's an experience that has helped all of us in our journey. They're great life lessons, and that's what sports does.
Awesome.
I do know that after our last game in De La Salle, I just remember the emotions. You remember the emotions and losing and playing your last high school basketball game. That was probably one of the most emotional locker rooms I've been part of. And also after our junior year when we lost in overtime, it's just it's very hard. But I just always remember like Coach Haugen always coming up and giving us a big hug and showing us how much he cared about us.
Brian Korf, point guard on that 93 team. Thanks to Brian Hovland and Rex Haugen for joining us to highlight the 1993 state tournament participant from Pelican Rapids High School. Well, I hope you can get over to Pelican Rapids tomorrow and watch the dedication of Rex Haugen Court in the Al Siegle Activity Center at the Pelican Rapids Public School. Game starts at 2, the JV game, and then the dedication will take place between the JV and varsity game between Pelican Rapids and Ada Borup West. That should be around 3:15 when that dedication is held. And then after the varsity game, there will be a reception in the Legends Gym for Coach Haugen, and a great time to see a lot of those team members from through the years who played for their coach. Well, thanks for joining us. It's been a lot of fun recapping all the highlights through the years of Pelican Rapids basketball under Rex Haugen. Hope you have a great weekend and that you'll come back and visit us again on Monday.
You've been listening to The Sports Moment with Craig Olson. Sponsored by Pemberton Law and Lake Area Docks and Lifts. Produced by Sunroom Lab. Music by Blue Red Roses. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and thanks for listening.